49ers having private quarterback meetings, Grant. Could we see another quarterback potentially drafted? Dorian Thompson-Robinson? I don't know anything about this person. Tell me. What do I need to know?
All right. He was the quarterback at UCLA. Chip Kelly got fired from the Niners. He went to UCLA. This guy has been his quarterback every year, I want to say, like 4 years in a row. Actually 5 years. I mean, he's been there a long freaking time, about 23 years old, a little bit older than Brock Purdy, very experienced. If you're looking for the next Brock Purdy, he kind of checks some of those boxes. Really experienced, threw a lot of passes in college, ran a lot, scored a lot of rushing touchdowns, had a monster year this last year at UCLA. I think he's really good, but I think he's kind of on a lot of people's radar. I don't think the media really knew about him, but I think the NFL likes him. The Eagles had him in for a private workout. The Niners had him in for a private workout. He looks like someone who's going to get drafted, probably on day 3. And so that's interesting to me because I was thinking if the Niners would bring in a 4th quarterback, it would be someone like round 7 or maybe even undrafted because that guy's got to go on the practice squad. Unless Trey Lance gets traded or Brock Purdy's out for the entire year. So if they were to draft Dorian Thompson-Robinson in round 5, let's say, like that's the guy you want, I would think. If you spend a 5th round pick, you guy you want in your 53-man roster. So you're not keeping 4 quarterbacks. It just feels like another indication that the Niners are open for business on Trey Lance. And I think it's like, duh. We know they're open for business on Trey Lance. I just don't know. Like, do they think they're going to get what they want on draft night? I don't think they're going to get what they want on draft night. I don't think he's worth that much. But maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think he's going to get traded at all. Gammon Brown says Trey Lance slander of any kind will not be tolerated. I don't know that it's slander to say
it's
that
not slander. I like Trey Lance.
They said they would listen on him. So,
yeah, they did.
Yeah,
I don't like immediately.
I don't think you can call that slander. Would they keep another quarter? I don't know. They're not going to keep 4. Maybe they think they could just stash him on the practice squad.
Right. Maybe they feel they can get him in round 7 and no one would take him. But it seems like there's a little bit of a buzz around him. He's getting private workouts. It seems like he might be a round 5 or 4 pick. And if the Niners take a quarterback in round 3, 4, or 5, like heads will explode. People will be so. I don't even know if Trey Lance would be on the team at that point. But I think that's why this is interesting. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you even taking a day to talk to this guy? Why? You have 3 quarterbacks.
I have more thoughts on that, but we got a couple super chats I want to get to. 2.0 says, Trey has nothing to do with Mahomes. Christensen is just willing to work with him now that Jimmy Garoppolo isn't on the team. Now Jimmy isn't competing with him, so he'll gladly take Trey's money. So Christensen is Patrick Mahomes' quarterback coach, and I guess he also worked with Jimmy Garoppolo, but I think he worked with Garoppolo like in high school or like way early. So I don't know that necessarily there's any connection there. I don't think these quarterback coaches care about having 2 quarterbacks on the same team competing for the same job. They care about money being green.
Yeah. I mean, again, 2.0, like mocking Trey Lance for, like working on his craft. I think it's cool that he's like, went to Jeff Christensen and is trying to go to the best coaches. I mean, he's going to Jimmy Garoppolo's coach. 2.0 should be encouraged, but no, he's just laughing at Trey Lance because he's 22 and he doesn't have a perfect delivery yet. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Steve Young didn't have a perfect delivery at 22.
Nice Yale avatar. Shout out to my Quinnipiac Bobcats, baby. Rival of Yale and national hockey champions. Just want to sneak that.
I don't even know where Quinnipiac is. Where is that?
It's in Hamden, Connecticut, baby, where I live. That's where I went to school.
Hamden, Connecticut. I didn't even know where you live.
I live like 5 minutes away from campus, and he had the Yale avatar since they're the rival. Just wanted to sneak that in,
Connecticut. All right.
Christopher watching on YouTube says you give Kyle too much credit to coach or spot mechanics. Quarterback coach was Rich Zuccarello. I'm pretty sure that's not his last name. When Trey was drafted, the only thing Rich taught was that stupid twist dance.
Oh, yeah. I feel like if there was a real QB guru, like a Bobby Turner of quarterbacks on this team, they would have seen it. Like it was there, or maybe they did see it and they would have had a plan to fix it. But right now, it seems like it's the same. It's been like this for a while. I don't know.
To me, I think your philosophy when you draft somebody has to be assume that they are going to stay this way, especially mechanically, forever. If you can change them, great. But just say for the sake of argument that we're not going to be able to change this person. does it sort of meet the minimum level of what we need to be effective? If it does, then you can draft him. If you don't know, if you're not 100% sure, then you can't draft that guy.
Yeah. I mean, again, Trey Lance never would have been taken third overall if there hadn't been a pandemic. He sat a year. It was all a very strange evaluation. There wasn't very much evidence, and never would ever. It's never going to happen again. I mean, the Niners probably, in retrospect, shouldn't have made such an aggressive move with such little evidence, because they never had any conviction in their decision to begin with. And it feels like that the motivation to get Trey Lance is strange in the retrospect. I think Kyle just didn't want it to be Jimmy's team anymore. And it was more about trading up to the number 3 pick and undermining Jimmy than who they took. It could be Mac Jones. It could be Trey Lance. Who freaking cares? As long as it's not Jimmy anymore. I think that's what it was about.
Part of me wonders if the move up to 3 was maybe a motivational tactic by them to try and get Jimmy to actually respond to texts in the offseason. And
or like play through injuries. Hey, man, like don't shut it down for 10 games with a high ankle sprain when you got guys like Patrick Mahomes playing through it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing, dude? Yeah, the season's lost, but you're the quarterback. We pay you a lot of money. You're the leader. Like, come back and play. What are you doing? George Kittle came. Remember, everyone came back and played the last 2 games of that season, but he didn't. Yeah. I think there was something to that. And I think Kyle was pissed, and he feels like, I can't have this guy who just plays when he wants to. I mean, that's what Martellus Bennett said about this guy, too. I think he was pissed, and I think it wasn't necessarily about Trey. I don't think it was about which they've traded up for a pick, not a player. It was about not Jimmy anymore. Anyone but Jimmy.
It could have been, hey, maybe this will motivate Jimmy and he'll bring his game to another level. And if it doesn't, then we'll have a cheap quarterback that I think is good enough to win games with anyway. So maybe it was like a win-win thing. Getting back to the Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I can't imagine that Kyle's going to feel comfortable. Like, let's say they get rid of Trey Lance. If that's what you're thinking here, that they draft Dorian Thompson-Robinson and eventually trade Trey Lance. If Brock can't come back and Sam's got to be the guy, and then Sam gets hurt, you think Kyle would be comfortable turning it over to a rookie?
Well, what he can say is, look at how much success we had with Brock last year. And what Dorian Thompson-Robinson has in common with Brock is a lot of playing experience. Like 4 years, 1,400 throws. Like, they're very similar in terms of their resumes. So if you wanted to sell the fan base on, look, trust me, I know it's scary, but we have a great team. We did this last year with a quarterback. Frankly, this guy has a higher draft grade than we gave Brock, and he's still going to have Christian McCaffrey. Like, it's not that hard, and he's actually pretty gifted. That's what they could sell it at. And actually, I think there's probably something to that, man. If you can get Brock Purdy playing like that, you should probably look for the next Brock Purdy, because it's not Brock. Brock's good, but it wasn't Brock or Jimmy. It was Christian and Debo and Kittle. Like, I think a lot of quarterbacks could do well, even guys like Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who are rookies but have playing experience and basically know how to play the position at a rudimentary level.
And I think
which is what Trey's still trying to figure out, right? Because he didn't play, unfortunately.
Right. And I think that's what the 49ers think too, that they could put in different quarterbacks there. John Mitchell, watching on YouTube, says, I'll take these Trey Lance trade rumors with a grain of salt, because remember last year the talk was about Debo getting traded, so I wouldn't feed too much into it.
I don't think it's going to happen. I know Larry Krueger thinks it's going to happen. God love him for putting himself out there. I just don't think the Niners are going to put themselves out there. There's not a whole lot to gain by trading them. Maybe a 3rd-round pick. There's so much to lose, man. I mean, you could go down as looking like the most incompetent organization ever if it turns out to be good. So I just don't see it.
And how do you even begin to assess his value? Nobody's seen anything from this person, so it's hard to say like what he's actually worth. It'd be very, very difficult. Kyle Shanahan's cat is back. Y'all believe in Trey Lance. Get GOAT quarterback coach Mike Holmgren.
No, it's over. No. Let people my dad's age like just retire and be, like leave him alone. My dad's got one showing him a week. Holmgren probably could have one showing him a week. That's about it. Leave him alone.
2.0 is back. The crouch in Trey Lance's delivery will be back as soon as he tries to throw the ball with velocity. He's going about 25% in those vids. It's like watching LeBron shoot around in warm-up saying, wow, he doesn't jump very high.
I don't have a problem with the crouchiness. Look at Jalen Hurts when he throws. He's very crouched. Look at Patrick Mahomes when he throws. He's very wide, very crouched. But the thing with Trey is that he's extending his leg as soon as it hits the freaking ground. Like, it just let it be bent for a second. It's just a timing thing, man. But timing matters in, hitting, throwing, all that stuff. it matters. It's a sequencing thing. He can do it. I believe in you, Trey. I believe in you. I do. I'm gonna make an R&B song about Trey Lance called "I Believe in Trey." It's gonna be. No. It's gonna sound like I believe I can fly, but it's not gonna be that song. It's gonna be I believe in Trey.
Just different enough, right?